Well, hey everybody, I'm John Redland, and this is my review of NWA Powerrr Episode 9, the final episode before the End of the Fire pay-per-view taking place December 14th. Have you ordered it yet? Make sure to order it by December 7th, and you get it for a few bucks off on Fight TV. Otherwise, it's $24.95 for the full price. Still, both prices are a goddamn steal. Guys, let's support the NWA roster. Unless you don't like the product, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. If the product isn't for you, that's fine, because we all like different things. But if you want to support the NWA roster, come on, guys, let's do our best. Let's get some different promotions up there and help them bubble up and help them improve. That's what I'm going to do with my little bit of money, and I hope that many of you do. Let me know in the comments if you guys are going to be ordering it. Also want to make mention really quickly that I'm not going to be previewing what I think is going to happen on, the End of the Fire card. Like doing a prediction show and everything. Though next week I may be on a friend's podcast and we may be making our own predictions, so look out for that. Check out my Twitter. I always put my Twitter handle in the description. But let's get on with this. I did get a lot of flack, or I didn't necessarily get a lot of flack, but the last episode got a lot of flack for just being nothing but video packages in one short match, and I understand that. It is what it is. I still gave it a bit of a passing grade, but I understand why people didn't. I enjoyed this episode, and it did have one shocking title change I will talk about here in a bit. So, it started off with recaps of the Nick Aldis, Camille, and James Storm situation, little video package on the Rock and Roll Express as well, and it's the final episode featuring Jim Cornette. However you guys feel about Jim Cornette, whether you like that he was in the NWA originally, whether you don't like that the NWA got rid of him, if you want to support the NWA product, guys, continue to do so. Because it is a pretty damn good in-ring product, and it is a nice throwback, and there's some really good talents working hard, both veterans and young talents. So that's really all I have to say. I am a fan of Cornette still, and I will listen to his podcast, but I understand both sides of the situation. That much I'll say. So anyway, we have Joe Galli running down the show. Joe Galli doing a great job calling wrestling like a sport. It was going to be Colt Cabana versus Ricky Starks in an exhibition match, but nope. Aaron Stevens in the question mark interrupt, and Aaron Stevens is like, why is he getting a shot or whatever? I guess anybody gets a title shot. And Colt Cabana gets upset and says, you know what? You get in there. You get in there and do that, but do it one-on-one. Question mark. Gets sent back. Crowd boos. Aaron Stevens in flesh-tone tights. Flesh-tone tights should not exist in a wrestling ring. I'm sorry. They just shouldn't. I know they have in years past, but they just shouldn't. They never should have. So suddenly Stevens, claims he has a knee injury after a move. Like he blew his knee out, all this kind of stuff. Question mark comes out, even though it's supposed to be one-on-one and everybody's checking. But then he suddenly attacks Ricky Starks while the referee's distracted. The throat chop, the karate chop, and then Aaron Stevens is suddenly okay, and 1, 2, 3 covers Ricky Starks. So he gets the victory and does cartwheels and all this stuff, and he was faking it. Big shock. It was what it was. Want to mention really quickly, I did see Ricky Starks at a recent Without a Cause show just this past weekend. And have seen him at a few indie shows. Saw him, I believe, at my first ever indie show that I went to, Defy Northwest. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. And it's a really comfy shirt, but I got to see him there. And actually got to talk to him a little bit at the Without a Cause show, and he is going to be on the End of the Fire pay-per-view, and I'm super excited for that. He has been working really hard as a young guy, but you can tell that he really has used any experience from all his shows all over the world, all over the country, to just get better and better, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do on this kind of stage. But anyway, so Stevens wins, and we get all this stuff, and we get an End of the Fire ad. We get Storm and Aldis are going to be selecting their respective referees for Fall 1 and 2, and then the coin flip will determine the referee for Fall number 3. James Storm interview where he talks about what led to this title match, how certain segments were axed, even though he put himself into a match that was actually... It actually wasn't supposed to involve him, and he's just, strong-arm the NWA brass. And that gets mentioned here a little bit later. And we get him picking Brian Hebner to be the referee. Great stuff. Talks about being brushed aside and all that. And then, so great stuff. And James Storm, hell of a promo, by the way. We get a George South 1979 promo tape. George South, famous jobber, from all over the U.S., And another high spots thing, whatever. We get the question mark, WrestleCade footage. Okay, cool. We even got Teddy Long there. We even got footage of Sid. We got a bunch of stuff. Good stuff. Hope everybody had fun at WrestleCade. We then have footage of the Great Muta and Nick Aldis facing off in a wrestling ring in 2019. What is 2019 in wrestling? It is wild. We then get a Melina interview. And of all the promos that I've seen in wrestling, that was one of them. I admit to have never been the biggest fan of Melina. There are fans that are, and that's fine. And I'm just going to leave it at that. At least she's there using, her years in wrestling to help some of the women there, so that's good. And she did cut a very heelish promo. And then we have Allison Kay coming out. She challenges her to a fight, but then Melina's like, nah, I'm not going to do this. And then Marty Bell and Thunder Rosa attack. And of course, since Thunder Rosa's here, yes, I have to mention that. I have to mention, having seen her at an indie show, I'm always going to mention that. She was awesome. She made my first Without a Cause show a whole lot better. So everybody did there, honestly. There were some great talents. Her, Priscilla Kelly were super nice, by the way. If you ever get a chance to meet both of them, they were really, really nice. But this just hyped up more the match that's going to happen, where it's going to be two members of that team, either Melina, Thunder Rosa, and Marty Bell, either any combination of those three, two of them, against Allison Kay and Ashley Vox, which I'm a bit disappointed the title's not going to be on the line. I think that's a little bit weird, but it's a nice way to build it, I guess. And then we get a Nick Aldis interview, and he talks about Storm not accepting responsibility for the fact that, he has shortcomings and everything. And the reason that James Storm, even though he's in the middle of the pack, got the shot is because Nick Aldis wanted to face him and wants to beat him and prove to him that he just can't measure up to the champion. And he picks Tim Storm. So it's going to be Storm as a ref and Storm as a wrestler. I kid. There's a lot of people named Storm there. But anyway, Tim Storm as the referee that Nick Aldis picking. Good idea. Really good stuff. I like it. We're going to get Tim Storm turning heel, I bet. Whatever. Or we're going to get something else. But he mentions about, James Storm being the squeakiest wheel and that kind of stuff and all that. What's going on with Camille? Everybody's asking. She will not be ringside, according to Aldis, which probably will come back to bite him in the ass because Camille will probably turn heel-ish. Even though she kind of already is. But anyway. We get an anti-smoking CTE ad. By the way, the Aldis Storm interviews are pretty damn good. We then get the Rock and Roll Express versus the Wildcard NWA Tag Title match. Can the Rock and Roll Express win the NWA Tag Titles 34 years after they became NWA Tag Champions? Yeah, they did. If you knew anything about the spoilers, or the spoilers for the tapings, they did. They beat him after a few minutes. It was some nice, good miscommunication stuff. It was a nice TV match, and Rock and Roll Express having this feel-good story. Cornette joins them, celebrates with them, and stuff like that. And Joe Galli, on behalf of the NWA, thanks Jim Cornette. Thanks Jim Cornette for his, support and for his work with, them on these tapings. I know that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Guys, it was what it was. Jim Cornette's not going to be on the NWA programming at least for a while, or probably not ever again. And they're going to move on because we get some, Into the Fire match plugs. We're going to get Wildcard versus Rock and Roll Express. Wildcard are obviously going to regain the titles there. That would be interesting if the Rock and Roll Express managed to retain there. And then we're going to get Colt Cabana, Ricky Starks, and Aaron Stevens for the National Championship, NWA National Championship. And then, who's going to join the commentary team? Who's going to join Joe Galli? Well, Nick Aldis says, I know this guy, and it's good news for people. It might be some bad news for you. It's Stu Bennett, the former Wade Barrett from WWE, who's been out of WWE for just over 3 years now, about 3.5. And it's great. Stu Bennett's a hell of a talker, and I can't wait to see what him and Joe Galli can do. I assume Joe Galli's going to be calling the show, at least he should be, because he is a great announcer or a great commentator for the NWA. I'm going to say, overall, it was a nice way to hype Into the Fire. I'm going to say B-, because I would have preferred maybe a couple more matches. But I like that they hyped this stuff. It was a solid B-. Not a bad show at all. Well worth it to see, all this, the advancement of storylines. I think that they used their time a whole lot better. Because if you cut out, the recap stuff, at the beginning, and you cut out the credits, it was like a 42-minute show. So it's nice and digestible. Anyway, B-. Maybe if I don't put a poll up there, just let me know in the comments what you guys think. And also, again, let me know if you guys are going to be ordering Into the Fire. Because, again, I will be. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.